So in terms of that, so I mean, two follow-up questions actually. One is the in terms of that kind of token or key and measuring the how do I get that customer ID? I've talked to a lot of clients who also are starting to think about marrying the cookie data, so your online cookie data with point of sale data. So Avinash, you come to my website, you spend half an hour shopping, you eventually do buy something online. I now have your cookie information and your credit card, presumably you bought with a credit card. Months later, you do the same thing. You come and shop on other parts of their website, but buy nothing. But you show up in one of their stores 3-4 weeks later. It's simply marrying two databases, right? It's the online cookie database with your point of sale or credit card. Again, why aren't clients doing this? What is the big barrier for retailers doing this today?
Yeah, I think that specifically with cookies, typically retailers will store an anonymous ID in the cookie. For the most part, they probably won't store a personally identifiable information in the cookie. But in your case, I think it was perfect in the sense that the cookie will track the multiple visits that led up to that particular purchase. So let's say it came 5 times before I placed the order for my big screen TV. That's all tracked in your analytics tool very nicely. But when you place the order, the company, the retail website, Walmart.com, let's say, or Sears.com, now has your name, your credit card, your address, your location, and other things that they can match up with the cookie ID. So, and they can store it offline very safely. So it's not stored in a browser. So most people won't store this information in a cookie, but their systems have this data. And their offline systems have the data for the purchases that are having offline. So at my former company, we had products that you could buy at Costco, you could buy it at our call center, or you could buy it at our website. Now, we would routinely actually match up the data we would collect from our website, all the data around purchases, and then also know if you had any call center behavior. Did you check, call, did you purchase offline in prior years? Now you're starting to buy online, so we can understand that there is a shift in channel preference. The reason that most companies, retailers, are not doing this yet is because so far they still tend to execute the online strategy in isolation from offline. There just isn't this cohesive thinking available. I was just at one of the largest retailers in the world just 3 weeks ago, and they're bigger than anything, God, you know. and the thing is that they have this little silo where all the online people are doing, and then they're like, oh, it's this little toy, the interweb that these guys are playing with, and then their offline people are somewhere else doing completely different strategies. And the core mindset that's missing is this idea of that customers now live in a non-line world. It's not offline, it's not online, it's non-line. I think that customers have shifted away from stores. They're gradually migrating online. You know, they used to be the offline, so we said, okay, let's call this the online world. And that worked for a few years. But increasingly, customers now live in an online world. There's just literally no barrier. They shift between those two extremely efficiently. I'm going to go to a store. I'm going to try on the shoes, because shoes is one thing I'm not going to buy online. Lots of people do, but I'm not. I'm going to go to a store, try on the shoes, but you know what? I'm going to order them for Zappos. Now, there are other things that I'm going to research online. I'm going to see all the pants that Gap has, for example, and I'm going to check out all the inventory on the website, but I'm going to actually only go buy it in a store. And this is an example. Both of these are examples of non-line experiences. There is no line. There's this contiguous experience to the customer. But that's really not the case for lots of retailers. They tend to think of these two things as silos. And I think until they can fundamentally overcome this barrier of understanding that there is an online they have to solve for, there is a offline they have to solve for, and online, they're really not going to be able to dramatically shift the mindset and sort of start thinking like customers. And more than that, then comes the trouble of figuring out how do we merge our data and things like that. So for now, my recommendation is try and understand, and I stress this in my book, like there's like a whole chapter on the fact that we live in a non-line world. So first, try and understand that, and then try to remove barriers that you have in your company, whether they're organizational, process, campaign execution, store strategy, catalog strategies. Just break down barriers so as much as possible, slowly over time, people start working together. And then your company will execute with a non-line mindset and catch up with your customers who are already in the non-line world. So you're actually playing catch up as Eddie Bauer, as Sears, as Walmart, as many of our friends we have in the retail space.